Hello, Ken Spriggs here with a model review of a new resin model from a company called Blackheart Models. Their website is blackheartmodels.com. They primarily produce large figure busts or little mini busts. They have a lot of the Universal monsters or even other monsters from different horror movies or science fiction movies, and always expanding their line with some new products. So what I'm going to be reviewing is a brand new spaceship, actually, from it's a concept ship from Predator, and the idea is that it's a concept of the ship that the Predator would have used to get down to the planet in the original Predator film with Arnold Schwarzenegger. At the beginning of the film, we see a large ship approaching Earth, and we don't see any detail, but a smaller ship breaks off from it, and you see it going into the atmosphere and a little bit of flame coming from it, or like rocket exhaust or something. So we never really see it, but this is a concept piece that was actually designed by a man named Steve Wang, who had done some of the concept work on the original Predator. As far as the creature, as far as I believe the artwork and drawing and things like that, to come up with the conceptual design for the Predator. So the way this came about, the owner of Blackheart Models, George Stevenson, had originally owned a company called Geometric Designs back in the late 90s. And he had produced some kits and actually had a license with 20th Century Fox to produce some Predator kits, or at least one Predator kit. He produced, obviously, the Predator itself in a figure. He had sent some info about this and how this design came about. Initially, when they were making this Predator model, there was a knockoff, apparently, of this kit coming out of Korea that was really hurting their international sales, and then also started hurting their sales here. So it kind of caused a problem between them and the licensing with 20th Century Fox. Now, at that time, he had approached Steve Wang, who had been heavily involved in the conceptual artwork for the Predator. And so he had talked to him about the idea of creating this pod. And back at that time, in 97 and 98, Steve Wang actually did come up with some drawings and produce an idea for this spaceship, which unfortunately at that time they did not build, but obviously they were having some issues with it, and so it never really got off the ground. Now, at one point, he stopped being a part or having the company of Geometric Designs, and then more recently started up his company of Blackheart Models. And at that point, then he decided to go back and reintroduce some of these designs that Steve Wang had made for this ship and to produce this ship. So it's a really, really cool ship, a really cool design. And I think it has, it looks like it definitely has some good pedigree from the original conceptual artist, or one of the conceptual artists for the Predator itself. So if we had actually seen a ship in that first movie, a small pod, this is very likely what we would have seen, or something very similar to it. So definitely glad to have this kit. Absolutely, hands down, one of the most perfect and well-cast resin kits I have ever seen. And I've purchased lots of them throughout my model building career. And very little, like virtually no flash or cleanup whatsoever. No bubbles, no damage. The detail is impeccable. Detail is amazing on it. So just a fantastic kit all around. Now it's not an inexpensive kit, but it's not an overly over-the-top expensive either. The kit itself runs $125, and it was about, I think it was $20 for shipping, so about $145, which is a little steep, but I think it's well worth every penny. It's absolutely phenomenal and an amazing kit, which I'll show you here in a moment. So I absolutely love it. I'm very excited to build it. And let's go ahead and take a look at this amazing conceptual Predator ship. All right, so the instructions come in one sheet, and there's a little picture of the completed kit, unpainted. A little bit of information at the top. Planetary orbital drone, single occupant shuttle. Sorry for the shakiness here. Vibranium hull, supersonic speed, stealth rate, anti-radar weapons, remote piloting, things like that. So then it has the different parts. You have the pilot with his head and dreadlocks, his body, which comes in several parts, including a really awesome, tiny little delicate laser cannon on his shoulder. You have the pod interior, a footrest at the bottom. Then you have two thrusters, some connectors to connect them to the ship. Showing you how those go together on the back. And then you have some pictures of the completed ship. And there's a steering column. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the actual parts themselves. All right, so this came packed very well. It has a very solid foam cutout where the parts were inside, and they were inside some bubble wrap as well. And then there's a top layer that went over top of it, so the whole thing fits snugly inside of this box. And it just says the pod logo on top of it. So very well packaged. Then this box was inside another box when they shipped it. So definitely protected very well and came to me undamaged. All right, and here are the majority of the parts for the ship. There are a few other smaller pieces in a baggie that I haven't taken out. His dreadlocks. There's a staff in there for him. Had two spikes that go on his right arm, and then there's some pedals and some connectors and that sort of thing. But other than that, these are the majority of the parts for the ship and for the figure. This kit is amazingly detailed. The resin on it is really smooth and flawless, pretty much. I mean, virtually no flash whatsoever. No cleanup at all. All the parts fit together very precisely. And you have a couple of options on how to display it. So there's the interior, some of the controls on the interior of the ship. There's the cockpit window. Sorry, get some light on that. The detail inside of there. Even little details you're really not going to see, like that little grill right there on the side of the control panel. The detail at the bottom of this. And then on the outside you have this pattern on the top, which is really cool. You have these intakes or exhausts or whatever. And look at these ones here. Utterly amazing. Just look at the detail in there. That's fantastic. And once I get this painted and get a wash in some of these, that's really going to show up amazingly. That's just incredible. And there's the front of the ship. Then you have the main part of the ship. I'll show you under here on the bottom. You have a big, looks like a vent or a grill of some kind. Some ribbing around the edge of that. Then on the inside, that little peg right there holds a post that comes out and has foot pads on it. And then you have some little, turn this sideways here. You have some hosing, some tubes going down on the sides there. You have the seat for the pilot. And I believe that little hole right there is for his staff to stick up. I'm gonna have to look at the instructions. but you have a lot more detail, including some piping or some hoses up there at the top. Details on the sides. Even back in there you can see some more details of machinery behind the seat. And in the back of it you have some really cool looking vents back here. Sorry, try to keep it in the light there. Some detail right there. And then some very intricate detail on the back. All of that machinery, those little thrusters, it looks like right there, which are quite amazing. These posts right here are for the connectors for the two side pods. I'm sorry, I take that back. They're for those ones over there, the little thrusters. I'll show you those here in a moment. Some very detailed vents on the top. And then some back vents to that, to the top of it. Sort of look like a similar type of design to that right there. So, all right, and you can see how shiny and smooth that is. This is really solid, beautiful resin, flawless casting. I have not found any errors or mistakes at all. If they are, they're just so minuscule that I haven't seen them. So just absolutely stunning casting of this. It's just beautiful, nice and solid. You have the top connector here and the two on the sides. The top connector allows you to put this piece, there's two sides to it. You can either put it on it, post it open, or have it closed. And likewise on the sides are for these units right here. I'm not sure what they're supposed to be, but they can be posed open or closed. And likewise, they have a lot of really good detail in them. Just amazing, just absolutely beautiful. And there's two of those, so there's one for each side. And it actually closes up and then it can be open as well. As far as that. And then the thrusters, you have two of these, which are really cool. Lots of detail. And those are the three connectors that have some posts that go into the back that I showed you a few moments ago. And then this part here goes down into the thruster. And here are the thrusters, and they are the same as well. Lots of cool details on the thruster vent, the machinery. Sorry. Come on, focus. Even inside that little opening there, you can see some grooves. So just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Okay. So those then actually, the thrusters come off of here and they hang down. They're like, they're sticking down as if they're thrusting, obviously, the ship off the ground. And they would probably move around, I would imagine. So let me go ahead and put some of these together real quick and show you how they're going to fit, and then we're going to take a look at the figure. Oh, and also they have a clear resin windshield that's shaped. It's a little bit frosted. I think if I polish that up a bit with some like some metal polish or some glass polish, I can probably get a little more of a shine from it. But I do like it because it, well, first of all, it has a fantastic fit in the cockpit. But then it has a, it almost looks like it has condensation. So even if I can't get it to totally clear up, I think it's going to look great, especially when the whole thing's painted. And I'm going to maybe have some minimal lighting in there to give it like a green glow. But then this is going to open anyway. I'm not going to have it closed because I definitely want to be able to see that interior in the pilot figure. So, all right, so let's go ahead and take a look at some of these parts together, and then we'll take a look at the figure as well. All right, so if it's all closed up, you have the top shell over top of the bottom one. This goes on there nicely. And then you can have these two side pieces closed, as you can see. It almost kind of looks like a sarcophagus, which is kind of cool, but it's really, really awesome looking. Definitely has that look of the Predator film. I wish they would have produced this as a ship. That would have been pretty amazing. All right, let me show you how that would look. And I'm just kind of holding these together, by the way. Let me show you how that would look if those were opened up. All right, so that's just resting on there right now, but this is how that would be propped open. So you'd be able to see the figure inside and all the controls and see the interior. It doesn't really fit on snugly, so I would either have to glue it in place, or I want to try to rig up some kind of a pin mechanism so it can be propped open and be able to display it. But you can also close it and then see how that looks with the ship together as well. And then there are those side pieces. I'm assuming there's some kind of thrusters or rotating fans or something that would also give it thrust, but they close and they open as well. Although when they open, obviously there's a big gap going into the pilot, so you could probably only really use that in a low altitude or something like that. I'm not really sure, but again, those have those pegs that they can fit behind it, or they can fit in front of it and close and be on, and have two different posable methods as well on there. So, okay. All right, and here is the really, really well sculpted Predator figure that's on the inside. Here are his legs, which are all one piece. His little skull there on the side. Even a little bit of intricate netting on there. Then you have the machinery on his legs and his cool looking feet. This is the only part that has a little bit of like mold release flash on the bottom, which I'd have to just sand off. But other than that, that's pretty much it. Everything else is really smooth and clean. Then you have his torso, also with the netting. Looks like he has a little animal skull around his neck. You have his right arm, some cool machinery. It's really neat looking hand. It's got more of like a scaly, almost like a lizard arm, which I'm assuming is just his actual skin. That's pretty cool. You have his left arm, sorry. That's got some cool detail on the shoulder. It's machinery again. And his awesome hand. Really, really nice detail. And then you have this, the shoulder piece goes on. Let me see, how does that go? It goes like this. So this goes out in the front, and there's a notch in the top for the little laser. Which is also very well detailed. Even has a hollow blaster point. Very cool. And as I said, there are some other details in the bag that came with it where you can add more onto his dreadlocks. I'm sorry, and there's his head, his helmet. Some of the dreadlocks are built in, but you have some spots where you put another couple pieces on there. And then there are the two spikes that stick out of his right arm. They go right there. So they hang down over top of his hand. We see those towards the end of the film, and he's trying to skewer Arnie with it. But very, very well detailed, really well designed. Let me go ahead and put him in the cockpit and show you how well he fits in there. These are also really highly precision parts, so they go together with very little seams. I doubt I'll have to do any kind of filling at all for that. All right, so there you go. So I'm just kind of holding his arms in place, but you can see how well they fit together. Sorry. How he fits in there. And he's going to be amazing once I get him painted up. And then contrasting him to the colors inside of the ship, it's going to be really amazing. So quite incredible. Quite an incredible figure, quite an incredible spaceship. Really awesome design, and it very much looks like something you would see in the Predator film. So, all right, so just incredible. All right, and then the pods, of course, are going to be positioned something like this. They're going to be connected on either side. The thrusters, I mean. And they're going to be facing down. Actually, this might be backwards. It might be on the other side. But those are going to go together like that. And then they're going to be sticking out of this side and this side over here. And sticking down off of the side of it as well. So, all right. So just an absolutely fantastic model. A flawless resin print. I can't say enough about it. It's just absolutely amazing. So, all right. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this. I do highly recommend this kit. You know, if you're interested in the Predator, and certainly something unique, and a high quality, absolutely high quality kit, this is definitely one to go for. So, absolutely. All right, so that is my review of the absolutely astounding Predator pod model from Blackheart Models. Again, I highly recommend it. It's a little bit higher in pricing, but absolutely well worth every penny of it. It is by far the most perfect cast resin kit I have ever seen. Probably even better than the majority of styrene kits that I've ever seen. As far as the quality, the detail, the precision fit, just the whole thing. It's just amazing, amazingly designed. Very excited to build this here sometime here down the road. I don't have a set time just yet. I have been potentially discussing with another modeler about doing a build together on this kit. We would both build it and then put our own individual artistic flair upon it. So we'll see about that, but thank you for watching, and stay tuned. I will be showing some more on my larger Mandalorian build of 18 inches as well. All right, thanks a lot.